I went out and got the Holosun EPS carry optic to put on my Mossberg 940 Pro tack. And am I pleased with it? I don't know. Will you be pleased with it? I don't know. If you want to find out what I think of it, stay tuned, check it out. So that's about pushing 70 yards, way behind the 50-yard line. And that's, again, grade 0. That was with a slug. That's a pretty small target, A-zone target, 70 yards, slug, no special choke or anything. So the optic for sure does what it's supposed to do, with the caveat of when you're asking, you know, when it feels like doing it. And for me, I can't have something that works some of the times, and some of the times it just doesn't work. I want 100% reliability out of what I have. I'm gonna try it again here before this chart pulls up. There it is. Broke my target, but I bit the bullet and took a dive into uncharted territory for me. And it's what I mean by that is I purchased a Holosun optic. All right, it's the EPS carry. I believe originally designed for your single stack carry pistols, any of those. So they went from the Trijicon RMR to an even smaller size red dot, and that's what that is. Okay, you can get the same optic in a slightly larger size, which will fit onto your full size, I guess, handguns. But this one is made for like your shields, your 365s, the new craze in the single stack pistols. Anyway, all that to say that it is what fits onto the Mossberg 940 Pro tack. All right, it doesn't just fit on there, it is what's cut for it. Okay, so if you wanted to take a bigger optic, one of the older styles, like a Trijicon RMR, I'm going to just use that, you're going to have to get an adapter plate. This mounts directly right onto the receiver. You do have to shave off a little bit of the screws that come with it to make it work, so it doesn't get in the way of charging the bolt, right? Because it goes through the top of the receiver and it can interfere with the bolt moving back and forth. Actually, only one of the screws does that, not the other side. But either way, I trimmed about 2 to 3 threads off, and it works flawlessly. Been shooting it, it's working just fine that way. Okay, and it comes with 3 sets of screws. You're going to use the long thin ones, trim it off, fits on here just fine. Okay, blue Loctite it just like you would any other optic. All right, I think optics on a shotgun are absolutely necessary. I've been doing it for a while. Okay, this was kind of like the older way to set it up. I got plenty of videos on this setup right here. Little Picatinny rail on top of the 930 with a Romeo 5. You can put other things on here too. You can go full-size rifle sights like a EOTech or something like that, aim points, whatever you felt like doing because of the mounting system. This, I think, is a step in most definitely the right direction, going to something like this. I'm a little disappointed. I know it's early in the game, but there's not too many options for this size to directly mount onto the shotgun. And to me, that is one of the biggest advantages, is not having that rail piece here. You're going to have it directly mounted on there. It brings the red dot nice and low. So when you come up, you know, you don't have a lot of interference from, you could see the rail or anything like that, and it brings it nice down where I think you'd like to have it. That's where I like to have it anyhow. Okay, without going too deep into the pros and cons of red dot on there, I do take off anything in the front. I've done that on previous shotguns as well. I had to actually cut it off of that one, get it refinished. The fiber optic little piece that comes on the 940 here, you just take a plier and you twist it right off, couple threads, and it comes right off. It does leave a little hole. Whatever, it's not a big deal because it's not actually a hole through the barrel because of the choke that's in there. It covers it up, so nothing's actually punching through. For me, that is an absolute must, because when I'm coming up and I want to see, I'm coming up on target, right, with whatever I'm shooting at, I want to see nothing except for the red dot, okay? And zeroing this the other day, I zeroed it with that fiber optic piece on there. And it does not co-witness in any kind of way at all. I don't care what people say. The fiber optics over here, the red dots over here, and then it never just lines up where it just stacks right on one another. It just doesn't. Not for me, probably won't for you, but you do whatever works for you, of course. So I just remove them. I get rid of them. That way I come up and I don't have two red dots, you know, a fiber optic and then the red dot. I've got one and that's it. And I know what I'm shooting at. Okay, let's talk about the Holosun here. It is enclosed. It is most certainly the way you want to go. It's the way of the future, right? Instead of projecting like the Trigicons might or the older Holosuns might. I think the one that ships from Mossberg, the Holosun that they put on there, is not the enclosed version. It's the one that projects, so you could get the dirt in the way of the... Anyway, it can... The pros and cons that come with those two different styles of optics. I've got nothing but good things to say about it. It works as it should. It's a perfect size, right? You bring it up, there's not too much on the periphery of it. Not that it's an issue. I shoot both eyes open. So when I'm shooting something like this, I see a lot more going on. I see the housing, I see the rail piece, and of course it's a little higher. Not an issue. I've shot this gun for years like this. But when you can get rid of those things that might seem to get in the way, it's a lot nicer. And this housing, of course, it's a copy from the aim point. We all know that. It's Holosun, right? It's Chinesium at its best, right? They take what we make or whoever else makes and they just copy it and they try to sell it to you for cheaper. I'm going to go ahead and say this is not very cheap. It's about $350 to $400, depending on what model and what reticle and what color you get. You can get red, green, whatever. 6 MOA, 2 MOA. This is the 2 MOA. It's got the shake awake. All these things are fantastic options to have on an optic. And again, it's because they copy, right? And I've never been one to explore the Holosun world for lots of reasons. I'm just not sold that something, you can get high quality stuff that cheap. And this is one of those deals where I wish this would work good. So what happened is right out of the box, mounted it, I'm playing with it, you know, getting the brightness and this and that, messing with the shake awake and make sure everything works good. And then it got stuck on the highest power setting. I couldn't get it to go down. You know, you hit the negative button and it starts toning down the brightness, and I couldn't get the brightness to go up. I tried to cycle it on and off. Essentially, the optic froze up, and this was before I had ever even shot it. Took the battery out, put the battery in. Okay, it kind of reset it. So that's the first issue I've had. That's really the only issue I've had so far. But in my opinion, that's not a good way to start your relationship with an optic that you just spent a lot of money on. So zeroing it, went out and zeroed it. Okay, it's still going to work. We're still going to try to use it, right? So we're zeroing it. The elevation dial is just mush. There's no way to know if you've made a click, made an adjustment or not. You're just guessing on, you're just mushing through the dial and hoping you're making a click adjustment, right? The left and right adjustment, it had a click, right? You could feel where you're going. Vertical, not so much. So that's kind of like two strikes. And you know, it's I don't want to say it's to be expected, but it is a cheap knockoff of an optic that everybody is saying is just as good. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not, right? So I would never even consider putting one of these on any serious gun at this point, just because of the way it started. And it's a shame because I really, really like it. I really like the compactness of it. So I guess what I'm saying is I really like the aim point mailbox, right? That's what I like. I like that style. But tried to go with the Holosun, it didn't work out. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to kind of, I guess, a complaint video on a Holosun optic. But you should have already known that because it's Holosun, cheap Chinese crap that's just knockoff stuff anyway. And it is just not as good. That's what I'm here to tell you. It is not just as good. So don't listen to people that tell you that. Tell them some guy on the internet told you otherwise, all right? But above all, take your stuff, go out, figure it out for yourself, shoot your guns, figure out what works for you, figure out your gear and what works for you, and do it safely. All right, have a good day.